3 elections in 18 months, and Kosovo votes again this Sunday. But the ballot box isn't the real battleground. The real trap is an autonomy dispute with Serbia that has frozen Brussels' entire enlargement strategy. If Kosovo's election breaks the stalemate, it could rewrite the Balkans. If it doesn't, the wedge between Serbia and the West deepens. Late September 2023, a column of armed Serb paramilitaries crossed into the Serb enclave of Banjska in northern Kosovo. They blocked the road with trucks. When Kosovo police arrived, gunfire broke out. 1 officer was killed. 3 of the gunmen died. Kosovo's authorities later said the weapons traced back to Serbia's own security forces and that the unit had trained at a hotel on Mount Kopaonik, just inside Serbia. Belgrade denied it, but the damage was already done. The European Commission demanded Serbia's full cooperation. The US and EU froze trust in the Belgrade government overnight. Here's why a single firefight in a village most viewers have never heard of matters. Banjska was meant to be the moment a deal got back on track. Brussels had spent more than a decade trying to broker normal relations between Serbia and its breakaway former province. After Banjska, that effort collapsed. The diplomatic window slammed shut. Kosovo's prime minister used the global backlash to harden his line. No self-rule for the Serb minority, no concessions. Serbia faced the threat of international sanctions. NATO rushed reinforcements into the country to keep the next shootout from becoming a war. 3 years on, none of that has unwound. The question we'll come back to is whether a Sunday election can break the deadlock, or whether the trap was set the moment that village street went quiet. The diplomatic window slammed shut on what, exactly? Look at the trap. The Brussels Agreement says Kosovo must grant self-rule to its Serb minority. Kosovo's government refuses. Call it political suicide at home. The EU response is blunt. No self-rule, no path to membership. So talks freeze. Serbia stays in limbo. Kosovo stays in limbo. Neither side can move first without paying a domestic price. Serbia is paying for the freeze too. Membership comes chapter by chapter, 35 in total. Serbia has opened 22 of them. It has closed only 2. The rest sit untouched, year after year. On current trends, the data we reviewed projects no Serbian EU membership before 2030. A generation of negotiation stalled at the same table. That stalemate is not theoretical. It is held in place by soldiers. Drive an hour north of Pristina and you reach the Ibar River. Cross the bridge in Mitrovica, and the road signs change from Albanian to Cyrillic. Serbian dinars get accepted at the shops. Belgrade still pays the salaries of doctors and teachers on the North Bank. The Kosovo government, on paper, runs this territory. On the ground, it does not. Standing between the two sides are NATO's KFOR troops, a coalition from 27 countries. After Banjska, the alliance scaled up fast. Britain sent 200 additional soldiers. Germany and Romania moved larger contingents in. The mission, in NATO's own words, was to deter Serbia from annexing the north. Annex. That is the word a Western military alliance was using about a European country in 2023. Not 1995, not the Balkan Wars. 3 years ago. Today, KFOR still patrols the line. Checkpoints sit at every key bridge. Soldiers from a dozen NATO countries watch a few hundred meters of road where a wrong move by either side could set off the next shooting. Every diplomat in Brussels knows it. The peace here is the kind you stand guard over, not the kind you sign. And the West is starting to look away. Look away. To whom? In Washington, the Trump administration is the first U.S. government in 25 years to lose interest in the Balkans. The special envoys are gone. The pressure calls to Belgrade and Pristina have stopped. American diplomats who spent careers untangling this knot are watching from the sidelines. Into that gap walk Moscow and Ankara. Russia has long backed Serbia as its anchor in the region, sharing energy contracts, blocking Kosovo's UN recognition, lending weight to Serb nationalist voices. With US attention elsewhere, that hand grew bolder. Turkey moved differently, pouring money into Kosovo's infrastructure, selling drones to its army, building mosques across Albanian majority areas. Two outside powers, two different bets, both filling a Western chair that nobody sat in. The research points to a clear effect. When the EU is the only adult in the room, Brussels can dangle membership as the carrot and freeze accession as the stick. With Moscow and Ankara at the same table, that leverage gets cut in half. Serbia can hedge, Kosovo can shop for partners. The old playbook, bring both sides to Brussels and squeeze, stops working. This is what a vacuum looks like in diplomacy. Not silence. The chair just gets filled by someone else, and the rules change with them. While Brussels and Washington argue over relevance, the bill keeps coming due inside Kosovo itself. Inside Kosovo, the economy is breaking under its feet. The country runs on three things: money sent home by a vast diaspora in Germany, Switzerland, and beyond, foreign aid, and energy it cannot generate enough of at home. Pull one leg out and the whole table tips. Some analysts suggest remittances now cover more than a tenth of GDP. Money wired back by relatives who left precisely because the jobs at home don't exist. Walk through Pristina's bus station at night and you see the consequence. Young Kosovars with suitcases, one-way tickets, queuing for the overnight to Munich. The exodus is its own slow vote of no confidence. Energy is the other squeeze. Kosovo depends on aging coal plants that cannot meet winter demand. Every cold snap means rolling blackouts and emergency imports at European prices. For a household on a Kosovo wage, the heating bill becomes a choice between warmth and food. Factories run shorter shifts. Small businesses fold. This is where the stalled deal stops being abstract. Every year the dialogue freezes is another year. EU pre-accession funding stays conditional. Another year companies hesitate to invest in a country with an undefined border. The political crisis costs Kosovo nothing in headlines. It costs everything in livelihoods. And on Sunday, voters get one lever to pull. One lever, and it is the ballot box. Kosovo votes Sunday, and everything we have just walked through rides on the result. The unfinished talks with Serbia, the northern enclaves under de facto Belgrade control, the frozen EU path, the exodus of the young, the chair Washington just vacated. All of it now lives or dies in coalition arithmetic. The frontrunner is the ruling party, the same government. Brussels and Washington have blamed for the deadlock. Their pitch is hard sovereignty, no self-rule for the Serb North, no rewards for Belgrade until it accounts for Banjska. Polls show voters largely back them. The opposition argues the opposite, that a deal, any deal, is better than another 4 years of nothing. Neither side commands a clear majority. So Monday morning, almost any combination is plausible. A continuation government doubling down. A patchwork coalition forced to soften the line. A long deadlock as parties refuse to share power. And here's the catch, the research keeps surfacing. Even a softer Kosovo government cannot deliver the self-rule clause alone. The Brussels Agreement requires changing Kosovo's constitution. That needs 2/3 of parliament. No realistic coalition has those numbers. A vote can pick the captain. It cannot move the rocks the ship is grounded on, which is why the closing question is the one nobody on the ballot wants to answer. Step back, and the shape of the Kosovo story comes into focus. A 2023 firefight slammed shut a diplomatic process Brussels had nursed for more than a decade. A clause about minority self-rule hardened into a wall. Neither side will scale first. Serbia's path to Europe stalled at 2 chapters, closed out of 35. NATO troops became the only thing holding the North together, and the United States, once the broker of last resort, walked away. Sunday's election sits inside all of that. It will choose a prime minister, not solve a deadlock. The structural problem that Brussels has tied normal relations to a constitutional change. Kosovo's voters will not accept, and Kosovo's parliament cannot pass. Survives any government. Russia and Turkey are happy to keep the chairs warm. The trend the numbers expose is not a slide toward war. K4 is too thick on the ground for that, for now. It is a slide toward permanence, a frozen conflict that becomes a feature of the European map rather than a crisis to be solved. Young people leave. The economy shrinks. Outside powers settle in. The map quietly hardens. The most dangerous thing about a stalemate is how easily everyone learns to live with it. Kosovo's deadlock will define the Balkans for years. Like, share, and subscribe for more analysis on geopolitics. See you tomorrow.